look over to my left. I see someone getting the edge on me. And before I can think, I'm in the air. As a lot of you know, I've been developing an interest in motorsport and racing overall for the past year and a half. On October 9th, I drove in an event hosted by the Tri-C karting organization. This organization has been around for a long time, so a lot of well-established, young and up-and-coming drivers and even veteran drivers. I was competing in the 100cc senior class, and which was a bold move in some ways because I was racing against all the Zoomers. The Zoomers have no regard for personal well-being or life out on track. Going into this event, I was very nervous. It's not that I had anything to lose, but I wanted to do well. All that said, I could feel it on the practice day. I couldn't really push myself, I couldn't really push my body, and my brain was just a little bit rattled. Leading up to the day before the race, I had only driven once or twice within a month. That's really not enough when you compare it to everyone else out there who is driving at least 2-3 times a week. But regardless, I felt I had to push myself through it because I was not going to find out what it would take mentally or physically to complete a full race if I just don't do one. So I just went ahead and said, I'll go for it, and whatever happens, happens. The race was hosted at a track called Cal Speed, which is in Fontana, California. And I've heard mixed things about Cal Speed. Some people say they love it. I've also heard it's the worst track in America. The track can be arranged in different configurations, and when I got there, it was a configuration that I had not driven before, and that immediately put me off in terms of being comfortable with the drive. On the practice day, I was in my head. I didn't really feel like I could figure it out.
That shit I just did right now was booty. It's okay, it'll get better. Always gets better. If I don't break my fingers.
By the end of the practice day, I felt that I had figured out a couple of the corners enough that I could be competitive. My whole mentality going in was I wasn't racing to win, I wasn't racing really to beat anyone, and as long as I could complete the race, I would feel good about that.
Much better. Figured out the flow, got my eyes up, I'm good. I'm zen out there. I might even take 5th tomorrow, out of 6.
So on the race day, I get there probably around 7 o'clock. I'm trying to make the drivers meeting where they basically bring all the drivers together and say, hey, don't hit each other, and here's some free donuts and coffee, which, by the way, why would you add donuts and coffee to that mix? There were only 10 porta potties on track. By the end of the day, they were sanitation hazards. I'm certain, they were developing a new version of COVID just as the day went on. At around 8:30, the practice session begins, and it was short. I think it was only about 5 or 6 laps. And for context, a good lap would be about, I'd say 46 seconds. A decent lap is probably about 47, 48. And I went out there and put in a steaming hot 53 seconds. I was so off pace, it was embarrassing. Still though, I try to put my head in the right space and just tell myself, hey, these guys are going to be faster than me, that's fine. Just try to stay competitive, stay with the group, and just try to finish the race. The structure of the race is this. You have your one qualifying round, and then however you place on the grid for that qualifying round is where you start for 2 heats and then a main race. Each heat is 8 laps, and the main race is 16 laps. Those sound like small numbers, but I promise you 8 laps, driving on the limit, flat out, 25 karts on track. It will have you after the first session wondering why you took up this hobby in the first place. And do you really want to be a race car driver, or do you just like the idea of this?
Just gonna take it chill. I got qualifying coming up. I'm estimating there's at least 15 or 20 people in my class, and I think there's a lot of legit teams out here, so it's in my head a little bit. But oh my god, I'm afraid. But on the outside, it's crazy being the best driver here.
So now it's getting into the morning, and it's time for qualifying. You get 3 laps. 1 lap to warm up your tires, 1 lap to really put it in, and if you fuck that up, you got a second chance, and then that's it. I did not warm up my tires on that first lap nearly enough, mostly because I was scared. I was in my head completely. I was not focused on what I needed to do, which is you got to scrub the tires. They're cold and you really got to heat them up. I didn't do that. On my hot lap, I went into a barrier, and then on the third lap, I just couldn't put it together. I was still on ice, and I didn't heat up the tires properly, and it just threw me off for the whole thing. Even though I was skating around track, I was able to put a 51 up, and thankfully, a lot of other people seemed to have a bit of a slow qualifying, so I wasn't so far down the order. The time between each of these moments is really long. It's a couple hours. That first 2-hour block between qualifying and the first heat went by pretty quickly. The adrenaline didn't hit me that hard. I was able to take a nap in my car. And I even woke up and had a little McDonald's, because there's nothing better to fuel you than 8 hours of adrenaline and then McDonald's. So we line up for the first heat. To my embarrassment, I'm all the way at the back. But it did, in a way, take some of the pressure off, because seeing 24, people in front of me, that gave me confidence again, and I felt I could make up whatever I had lost during qualifying. And with that in mind, I felt fairly ready for the first heat. We get out on track, we're in the tram lines, we're going around the first couple turns, and we're getting ready to start. And if you don't know, on the rolling start, everyone is kind of cruising, everyone gets up to speed, and then someone waves a green flag, and then it's on. A couple drivers got tangled up with each other, and right away, I took that opportunity. I jumped up ahead. I think I collected 2 people just off the start. After the first lap, I think I picked up about 4 positions, and I'm doing well. I can feel sort of my rhythm coming together a little bit. I pick up 1 more position, so now I'm 5 up, and I'm feeling good. That said, this is my second race, and already the aggression from all the drivers is getting in my head. And in karting, I'm not exaggerating. If you give up any bit of room, they take it from you. Whatever it takes. People will fight all the way up the order. A driver cuts out in front of me, and I get too distracted chasing him. And what that does is that puts me off the racing line a little bit. But still, I kind of hold it, and I go into the next corner. I know that there's a couple drivers behind me, and they're all probably drafting close. So I just slam my foot down, and I go as fast as I can, and I run the kart out as wide as possible to get as much momentum as possible. I'm going into the straight, and I look over to my left, and I see someone kind of getting the edge on me. I figure we're going to go probably too wide into this corner, and that's manageable. I'm not too worried about it. I'm coming up to the braking zone, and before I can think, I'm in the air. The way it happened was I'm looking straight, I look over, I look straight again, and then I just feel myself get launched, and suddenly I'm off track, and I'm looking at the sky, and as I'm going backwards, all I'm thinking about is my neck, because I can feel the transfer of the weight, and I'm just thinking, God, I don't need problems, man. This is just a hobby for me. The crucial thing that happened, is I felt a spot that's always been a problem area get agitated. It was a really tough thing to happen on the first race, and shout out to Troy and AJ. AJ was concerned because he knows that something like that to happen on your second time at it, that's going to mess with your head, and it did. It completely messed with my head. So now I had this long 2-hour period where I'm going to feel the adrenaline come off, and I'm going to find out the actual state that my body is in. I could feel this pain up here that I've been rehabbing a little bit still now. And my ribs, they kept kind of just firing up a little bit. So, I was trying to stretch, and I'm hoping maybe it's just my back muscle. And my kart got beat up, but, nothing they couldn't fix. They just had to swap the axle and some other things, and I was ready to go. But that 2 hours between Heat 1 and Heat 2 felt a lot slower than the first one. We line up again, and I'm starting from the back again, and this time I'm a little bit nervous because me and the driver that had crashed are now next to each other, and it's adding another layer to this whole experience. The race starts, and the driver next to me that I had collided with, they're on the inside of the first turn. rather than get cheeky, I just let them have it, which is the antithesis to racing. But at this point, I'm more concerned with just trying to finish. I maintain enough composure mentally and physically that I end up actually moving up 5 positions again, and I hold it. I stay busy the whole race that I actually finish it. And this is the accomplishment I was looking for, to just get one finish on the board. I did it. And as Troy would say, that's just as good as winning. Catch the green flag, catch the checker. Because for a lot of drivers, they'll tell you it's not always that easy. Having finished one heat, I'm feeling good, except for one thing. There was one turn where my body got thrown to the side in my seat, and that pain point went from a 2 to like an 8. It just felt like someone took the knife in there and just twisted it 360 degrees. I was kind of yelling in my helmet, I'm groaning, just No, that's not even as dramatic as it was. I was screaming decent in there. And now I have to sit and wait another 2 hours for the final race, which is twice as long as these races that I'm limping to the finish. And now I'm really trying to stretch it out, knowing that this third race is going to be, if I can even finish it, one of the most physically intense things I will have done in my entire life. By the time it gets to the main race, I'm completely lying to myself, telling myself, you're going to be able to do this. I'm lying to everyone around me. I had paid to be there. I had committed all this time, all this effort. I had to see it through. And so we line up, and I guess a few drivers got penalties. So this actually puts me starting in the midfield. This is not what I wanted. It's going to be competitive right from the start. I'm nervous like a 9-year-old going on a roller coaster for the first time. There's a small part of me that's going, Mommy, Daddy, can we go home now? It bring out the bitch in me so fast. So we get out on track, and now it's the late afternoon, and the vibe is just so different. The sun has put this like kind of glow on the track that just makes it feel that much more intense. We pass by the crowd, we get up to that green flag, and away we go. We go into the first corner, go into the second corner, and I feel it. I feel it right away. Trying to look past, and I'm saying, no. Come on, just do it. You're all that fucking Nike, bro. Just do it. As every turn is going, it's just getting more and more painful. And the pain goes from 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 to 12. As I'm pushing down track and I'm trying to get back in it, I just feel like my adrenaline is completely gone. And the pain is so bad that I can still breathe, but every time I inhale, it just feels like someone is just jabbing a knife in there. And I leave the race on lap 4. And for me, mentally, that was the most defeating thing I've done in a minute. I get back to the camp, and all I'm doing is apologizing. I'm just saying sorry over and over because it just feels so bad to quit. Everyone's trying to encourage me, hey man, don't say sorry, don't be sad. And I was so upset that I had waited 2 hours just to quit. Even now, it frustrates me. Thankfully, I don't have a cracked rib. I think, maybe it was like a back muscle, and for the most part, I'm good. And all that to say, I feel like I left so much on the table that all I've been thinking about since then is when I'm going to get back out. So that's my plan, is I'm not going to put myself in a position where I will not be ready like that again. I now know what it takes to finish a full race, and all I can think about is getting back out there and going for blood. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this experience, and I hope to do more stuff like this because I think this is cool. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Later.